So it came out yesterday via the New York Post that Janel Grant had she wrote Vince McMahon a love letter back in, it was December the 24th, 2021. So this is pretty, there's a big twist here to this whole situation. With all the allegations in the lawsuit filed by Janel Grant against Vince McMahon, and then there's WWE and there's John Laurinaitis, it was very much, Janel Grant was a victim. She had been abused. This was, abusive, coercive relationship. But then, you've got this love letter that came out. And this is something that, with the love letter, you had Janel Grant's lawyer who came out and said that this was Vince McMahon who had coerced her into writing the love letter. But it's a fairly valid question, right? That, if this did happen, if she was coerced into writing this love letter, why was this not revealed in the lawsuit in the first place? That's definitely an important question right there. When doing this and getting all this stuff together, and with Janelle meeting up with her lawyer, was it maybe something where the lawyer thought, well, no, because that won't be relevant, it won't make your case look good. But then you'd think, well, if, this love letter, she wrote it to Vince, she, in her head, you think, well, in Janelle Grant's head, she's probably thinking, well, you probably still have a copy, and that could be, and then that would be used against me. But then, her lawyer was saying, well, all of a sudden Vince just comes out with this now, weeks after. But we don't know the whole process behind this, with him, getting together with his lawyer. His lawyer, funnily enough, there was a case that MLW filed against the WWE. That's his new lawyer that's representing him, McMahon. So there's all that thing of taking time for things to get processed, to get put out there. But, the whole thing, again, we don't know the whole story about why it took so long for that love letter to get put out there, to get published. But with this, most of my videos, I've said that I believe Janel Grant. That I believe almost all this stuff happened, or I believe the majority of it. I have done videos. I did do a video, could Vince McMahon be innocent? And I speculated, well, maybe there was a reason he said, okay, I'll pay her $1 million, but I won't pay her all the money because, well, number one, I don't think she deserves it all. Number two, that, I don't think she's not the victim. She was happy to be in a relationship with me. She got something out of it, a lot out of it. And, I did that video, but, it was one video. Most videos I've done you could say, are anti-Vince McMahon videos. Yes, absolutely. But in the video, yes, I did yesterday, I was getting through this stuff. I was going through it. And, I did say, well, maybe that means that, well, maybe it was a happy, kind of loving relationship, or at least, well, Vince thought it was. But at the same time, though, I did say, well, look, we heard these stories from R. Kelly that came out that had pressured women he had abused, victims, into writing stuff, making stuff up, that they had this terrible childhood, they were damaged, their parents had, abused them, whether it was like sexual abuse, physical abuse, that all came out, right? So it's possible that he did force her into writing this letter. So then, if the day ever did come that, that all this stuff came out about what actually happened there, that, he would at least have some backup there with the love letter. That's the ultimate defense for McMahon, right? But yesterday, a certain individual that you'll see here on the screen, King Mike, decided to comment on one of my videos, and because he feels that it's, very much that Janelle Grant knew what she was doing. She was happy enough to go in this relationship with Vince, and that, I guess it was a big thing for her. He was a rich man, and there was the money, the material things. And then he basically just said to me, "You're slow," in relation to, well, all of a sudden, with now that I'm speculating that this, maybe she isn't the victim that she has been painted out to be, right? But him saying that and kind of like having a shot at me, I thought was a little bit disappointing, because King Mike is somebody who I've watched some of his videos. I do agree with a lot of what he says. We've got similar, we've got a similar kind of growth rate with our channels, right? With our subscribers are almost the same, our views are kind of the same on some. He's been. I've been a bit quiet the past week or so with videos. He's probably been doing a little bit more than me the past week or two, anyway. But I watched some of his stuff, and I believe he has caught some of my videos. He's commented commented in one or two of my videos. He watched a live stream of mine. So him kind of having a little dig, I thought that's a little unnecessary. And then, I agree a lot with what Mike says with the stuff with the whole thing of, Rock and Roman and the whole Cody Rhodes thing, the Cody Crybabies. But a lot with this King Mike dude, there is a lot of, taking shots at people, calling people idiots, this, that. A lot of insults get thrown. And, yeah, you could say a lot of these Mark fanboys for Cody and that they're stupid, they're this and that. But I think to be like ripping into them all the time and going on tirades and rants, it's like, it's unnecessary. It's not something on my channel that I would do every day, one video a day, ripping into the WWE fans, because to me it just wouldn't be worth it. That's just me, right? But I did reply to him, and I said, well, that's a little disappointing coming from you, considering I was watching your channel. And I actually at one point was maybe considering having him come on the on the channel and having a chat. And I said, that's a little disappointing coming from you. But then again, he's got a title here saying, I feel bad for Diddy. So there you have it right there. And I was like, well, that's a little bad coming from you, disappointing. But then again, you're the guy that's saying that, that you feel bad for Diddy. So whatever, something like that. And then he came back to me with something like, well, I'm not here to make friends, rah, rah, rah. It's like, yeah, whatever. But I initially thought this guy was okay. And it's like saying a lot of the same things that I say. And, he tells it like it is. He doesn't sugarcoat things. And then I realized maybe a lot of this stuff is it's just, again, a lot of it is just ranting and raving. And some of it is just unnecessary. And a lot of what he says, I think it is just him trying to be edgy. And maybe a little bit like the controversial, unpopular opinion, the opposite of what you call the IWC has. And yeah, the IWC have their internet darlings, right? I get that, but I'm not just going to disagree with everything. Let me put it this way: it's not just if the IWC likes something, I'm not just going to say I dislike it because they like it. Does that make sense? I'm not that type of guy, and I think maybe he does a little bit of that. And I think also as well, I don't know with this guy. He strikes me as somebody that's probably like he's a Donald Trump supporter, and he probably acts like Donald Trump can do no wrong. I don't know. But saying that you feel bad for Diddy when it's like, come on, the general consensus with this guy is that, he's an abuser, a manipulator, a very, malicious, ruthless operator. There's the stuff there with Cassie, and he settled that lawsuit immediately, which, come on. And there's all those allegations there of sexual abuse, physical abuse. There's the stuff right now, the lawsuit filed by that guy, Rod, with Diddy, feeling like he had coerced this guy into having sexual relations with others against his will. And there's so much things with Diddy right now that's coming out. And there's been rumors for years with Diddy, and to do with sexuality. And hey, it's 2024, we shouldn't judge anybody, right? But there's all the stuff there about Diddy and just inappropriate behavior like stuff. And there's sexual harassment allegations, there's sexual assault allegations, and so the jury's very much out on Diddy right now. But he wants to have like an edgy take and say, I feel bad for Diddy. And that should say a lot of what you really need to know about this guy. And it's kind of a shame because I was kind of like digging his channel for a while, but it is what it is. He's got his own takes, and we can't all be alike, can't all agree on the same things. I didn't expect that, but I think when he just took the dig and said you're slow, you didn't have to have a shot at me like that. That's pretty disrespectful. And yeah, so hey, you don't care if your words hurt me or other people. Well, and I guess all bets are off. You want to play that way, we can play. And I think that's just a dumbass take. You saying that you feel bad for Diddy. When it looks like 90 to 95% of people following this stuff with Diddy, it's like, yeah, they very much feel that Diddy is guilty as sin. That's kind of like the general consensus. And it's not looking good, is he? He's flown out the country, and but you think that they'll get him eventually. It won't just be a civil case, but it could become a criminal case. So similar to like with McMahon, right? But this video here with King Mike, he's getting into this stuff, and he's talking about Raw last week, where because he's got this anti-CM Punk stance, right? And he's trying to say that Punk went into business for himself in that promo exchange with Drew McIntyre. So I'm gonna play this here, and I'll react as I'm going along to it. So here we go.
CM Punk and CM Punk crossed all kinds of lines last night, bro. Like I wouldn't be surprised if CM Punk ends up getting fired, or at the very least, they don't renew his contract once his contract is up, bro. And I don't know how long his contract is up. I don't know how long his contract is. But the problem with CM Punk and not taming CM Punk, the problem with CM Punk and letting CM Punk go out there and do whatever he wants to do is he can't be trusted. He can't be trusted, man. He completely killed Drew McIntyre. Like Drew McIntyre is done. Like there's no way Drew McIntyre could bounce back from any of this, bro. But that's not the real issue. The issue that I have with that whole entire segment is I think CM Punk went into business for himself, man. I think that they had a plan, and the plan was for CM Punk to go out there, talk some shit, you know what I'm saying, do whatever you do, man. But at the end, you're going to be the special guest commentator, right? I think CM Punk wanted to be the special guest referee. So CM Punk went out there and took it upon himself to count 1, 2, 3, talk about how he could be the referee and all this stuff, man. And I don't think that was in the plans, man. But by CM Punk doing that, what it did was it planted the seed in people's mind, like, hey, he should be the referee. And I think that's what CM Punk is trying to do. CM Punk is trying to get these people behind him to get the producers to change their mind, right? Because I think the original plan was for CM Punk to be the special guest commentator. But he went out there, went into business for himself, and now you get people online saying, well, they messed up, he should be the referee, woo, woo, woo. But that just goes to show that CM Punk is not a team player. CM Punk cares nothing about nobody. All he cares about is himself, right? And
right, so first off, let's start. At the very beginning, he's saying that that basically CM Punk in that promo exchange with Drew McIntyre killed Drew McIntyre, and Drew McIntyre's done. I don't think that happened at all. I think that with the comebacks, with Punk's comebacks, McIntyre held his own. I think it was a good back and forth exchange, and I think overall it went down as one of the better in-ring promo segments because people knew it wasn't just these guys following a script. And there was the back and forth. You could tell because usually it's the mic's down. You've got the mic. You're holding the mic down. You haven't picked it up. You're just letting your other guy says all his stuff. But then they were all getting their shit in, and this stuff they're going to go over certain things in the back, right? So Punk going into business for himself. I don't think that was the case. I think it was more him and McIntyre speaking backstage, and it was like, okay, you could touch on this thing, touch on that thing. But for the most part, it was just they were going to feel it. They were going to feel how it was out there with the crowd. And the thing is, another thing, right? The whole thing about CM Punk referencing Vince McMahon, he's responding to Drew McIntyre referring to himself as the chosen one. Drew McIntyre hadn't referred to himself as the chosen one on TV in about 13, 14 years. So when Punk responded to that, that was all planned. That was all arranged, pre-planned. That was, in the back. So the whole thing of Punk going in business for himself, I don't think so. I think that Punk and McIntyre are both well aware we're just going to go in there and we'll ad-lib a little bit. But some things, they were written down. And they were just going to go out and just kill it and have fun. But
and the line of when Drew McIntyre said, "I'm the chosen one," and he said, "Oh yeah, who chose you?" Right? Now he got everybody thinking about Vince McMahon. Now he got everybody thinking about Vince McMahon, and that's the last thing. That's the last thing WWE wants is for people to think about Vince McMahon. So,
well, yeah, I hear you there. But the thing was, it was McIntyre first said, "I'm the chosen one." So that was something that was either, they were discussing that in the back, going through their promo, or whoever it was, the producer, the writers, they knew that this line, that was there. That was going to be there. That McIntyre was going to say that. It was a bit odd, them referencing the whole thing with Vince McMahon. That did surprise me. But again, I think the way that it was set up, that McIntyre referring himself as a chosen one, when we hadn't heard that in years, and that was Vince McMahon that gave him that, that was the moniker from the whole thing with Vince McMahon, then come on, that must have been part of the show.
A lot of people like CM Punk. You know what I'm saying? I understand that, man. But I think that people in power positions, mainly The Rock, you know what I'm saying? I don't think they like CM Punk, bro. I think they're trying to give CM Punk a chance, you know what I'm saying? Because Triple H brought him in, and then whenever The Rock took over and all this stuff, so he's trying to give CM Punk a chance, but CM Punk is just going out there, especially last night. CM Punk went out there and went into business for himself, man. There was no reason to mention The Rock. No reason at all. And he's saying things like, The Rock found out that his hands were too short to box with God. Well, Phil Brooks, you need to understand that The Rock has longer reach than you. He got a longer reach than you.
Right. So that whole thing about saying that not to mention The Rock, but it was a promo, and it was referencing people that he had crossed paths with before. It was also with WrestleMania 40 coming up. With the whole thing with the bloodline, The Rock's involved in that. So I think he's reading a little bit too much into that with the whole thing with Punk mentioning The Rock. And the whole thing about that arm too short to box with God, that was in reference to a promo from 11 years ago that he cut on Raw, that Punk cut on The Rock. So that's what that's about. I don't, and the thing with this guy, Mike, I don't even disagree with everything that he's got to say about the whole thing with Punk. I understand where he's coming from. The whole thing with Punk, yeah, you've got to watch for Punk, right? You've got to watch for Punk because he has a history of having problems there where he does clash with people in organizations he works for. He's clashed with people backstage in WWE for a long time, clashed with people in AEW, that's well documented. So, I get that. But I'm not aware of any issue that The Rock has with CM Punk. I think they were always professional and they were cordial. Triple H and Punk, they had their problems, but they've patched things up, as Punk said in the interview with Ariel Helwani yesterday. So, I mean, one thing with the whole Punk thing is that if something did happen and they let him go, would it surprise me? No, it wouldn't. And I think what could happen is, because you might have some people there that have heat with Punk, and they might try and wind him up. They might try and get a reaction out of him. Somebody like a Seth Rollins, possibly. knowing that Punk now, with the stuff that's happened with the brawl out and with Jack Perry, they know now that Punk hasn't got many. He's kind of maybe last chance saloon now, Punk, and he's kind of maybe now more so on he's on his best behavior. But again, the whole anti-Punk thing, he seems to be against CM Punk. It's like, hey, that's just not a guy you like. Fair enough. Saying that Punk doesn't care about anybody himself, I don't think that's fully fair. I think Punk, when you hear about stories about how he was with talent in AEW and going out of his way to help them and watch over tape the talent, their matches, I think Punk seemed to be quite a cool guy who's maybe matured somewhat, has some character there. Maybe a lot different from the Punk that he was, when he was in his early mid-20s. So I don't know. I get the whole. I don't get the whole anti-Punk thing. I think again he's off the mark with this because I don't think this stuff would have been planned out, and I don't think it was a thing of going to business for himself. I think it was just, McIntyre was big enough to take it. I don't think you could say Punk buried McIntyre on the mic last Monday. I think Punk was quite, Punk and McIntyre were both quite sharp with their comebacks, to be fair. I mean, the Punk-McIntyre exchange was really good. And then Seth came, and it just wasn't the same at that point. It kind of went, downhill. Kind of reminded me when, just after the pipe bomb, Punk and McMahon had a really good exchange on screen and Raw. And then Cena came out, and it wasn't quite the same after that, It was that type of vibe. But yeah, this guy, Kim Mike, it was a bit unnecessary having a little dig like that. You're just doing your thing. You've got a similar type of, I think a lot of people that watch your videos, my videos will come up on the recommended, vice versa. Taking a little pot shot like that is unnecessary. But at the same time, if you're going to say that, I'm going to talk back and I'm going to tell it like it is, and I won't sugarcoat it. I think with some of your things, it's just a case of being edgy. And, hey, you can get caught up in that stuff with how it can be with internet and whatever. And, how irritating it can be with some of these fans. I get it. I was a bit like that at one point. But these fans don't know any better. They are happy-go-lucky. They're going to love this stuff no matter what. It's a different type of fans now, the internet. I think back in the day, the internet crowd, even if something was average, they would say it wasn't up to their standard and shit on it. But now it's like no matter how weak the product is, the fans are always going to put over Cody, put over their other faves. That's just how it is. It's a different time. But hey, I'm just doing my thing, doing my channel. You're doing your thing too. There's no need to have a dig like that. Say, oh, you're slow. It's like, no. I've speculated about this stuff with McMahon, and I whole video on it. My title was, could Vince McMahon be innocent? And yeah. So, but that's my thoughts on that, guys. This is, I'm not necessarily saying this is like going to be like a YouTube type beef. He might respond, and if he does respond, fair enough. It won't surprise me. He's an opinionated guy. But, saying that you feel bad for Diddy, it's like, come on, man. Come on. Look up Gene Deal. Gene Deal. He does a lot of videos with Art of Dialogue. Diddy's former bodyguard. Tell me that guy's bullshitting about the stuff with Diddy. Say it. Give me your take on that. But yeah, that's my video for now, guys. But feel free to hit the subscribe button, and just leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are on all this about some of King Mike's takes, and let me know your thoughts overall on the whole stuff going on right now with the love letter being released that Janel Grant wrote to Vince McMahon. But that's me for now, guys. Thank you very much. Bye.